Our next speaker is on the activist team and a live streamer for Real Progressives. Her highlights from a career in activism include a shouting match with Mitt Romney during the Occupy the New Hampshire primaries, organizing for No NATO 2012, Occupy the Justice Department 2012, and Flood Wall Street 2014. Last November, her and her daughter went to Standing Rock to stand in solidarity with the water protectors. She witnessed horrific police brutality against the water protectors, including her own daughter being violently thrown to the ground and arrested. Such experiences have only strengthened her resolve to fighting the machine. I'm so happy to introduce to you Diane Moxley.
Hello, everyone. Solidarity. So, my story begins with my exit from the Democratic Party, which ironically began shortly after I became active with the Democratic Party. So, I've always supported the underdogs, you know, those candidates who actually seem to stand up for the people. Yeah, but I'm older than I look. It actually began in 1988 with Senator Paul Simon. Then in 1992, Governor Jerry Brown, back when he was actually considered a radical. But even back then, guess what? They got screwed and shut out. I was one of the protesters back in 1992 outside of Madison Square Garden, trying to fight to have the voice of the people heard. But we all know how that turned out, right? 1992, we had Bill Clinton. With that came the end of Glass-Steagall, the beginning of mass incarceration, and more ugly. Local politics were even worse. Democrats and Republicans had a sweet deal going. Gerrymandered districts became designated seats. Election outcomes were already decided in backroom deals. I gave it one more shot back in 2008. I won out full force for President Obama. Change we can believe in became change that never came.
That's right.
When the economy crashed in 2008, I saw the working people take the hit. I saw the banks that ruined us handed a lifeline while the people drowned. I was filled with anger. I know I wasn't alone. There were many people like me, overwhelmed by outrageous amounts of student loan debt, watching our pay and our benefits dwindle. Some were even just struggling to find any kind of work. Meanwhile, Wall Street recovered at our expense. Yet there was no aid for the foreclosed, no aid for the people suffering. Then, back in the fall of 2011, my incredible kid told me about something she read in Adbusters. Apparently there was this amazing protest going on at Wall Street. An occupation. Hell, Radiohead was going to be there. We planned our family outing, Saturday, October 1st, 2011. We planned to join the march on the Brooklyn Bridge. That day changed our lives. Shout out to my husband, the poet Stuart Leonard. He captured that day in his call to action, the poem, Taking Brooklyn Bridge. For us, there was no going back. The message was framed in the protest chant. Banks got bailed out, we got sold out. And so it remains. The big question is why? Why was Wall Street propped up and the people were knocked down? The simple answer is money in politics. The politicians, awash in corporate donations, worked overtime to save their buddies and their cash flow. The rest of us, well, they spit in our faces. When Bernie Sanders, when Bernie Sanders entered the 2016 presidential cycle, I was stunned. I had been aware of Bernie for years, but I just thought that he was a socialist anomaly. You know, those crazy Vermonters. But I was like, I'm gonna wait a minute before I dim exit. Unbelievably, he caught on like fire. All sorts of people were coming out as socialists and proud of it. Despite all the propaganda, all the criticism, he was filling arenas and funding his campaign with corporate money. Without corporate money. Without corporate money. With the money of the people.
Feel the burn. Feel the burn.
Yes. I volunteered and I worked my ass off for him. And we were so damn close. And then bam, the oligarchs commanded, oh no, you will not have a government run by the people for the people. Establishment Dems killed that dream oh so skillfully. Because that is what they are good at. Killing dreams and selling illusions. The media was on board, lying to the people about Bernie's true impact. The corporate masters must have been so proud of their puppets. What the Dems did to Bernie is nothing new. They have been doing this for decades. Don't expect them to let us in. Don't expect them to have our backs. It will never happen. So what do? Go independent. Or join a party that actually represents the interests of the people. For me, it happens to be the Green Party. In New Jersey, this past year, our numbers tripled thanks to the exposure of the antics of the DNC, and a big shout out and thanks to WikiLeaks. I call on true progressives, people with a conscience, to Dem exit. Why Dem exit? They are a corporate-controlled party, as are the Republicans. We need to end that control. There are many issues that are affected by this. Climate change, the prison industrial complex, wars perpetrated by the military industrial complex, and sadly, much more. But there is one huge issue at the root of all of these problems. One issue that feeds the greed and the corruption. We have to get money out of politics. We have to unite behind groups like Move to Amend and Wolfpack. We have to challenge Citizens United. We have to pressure the politicians to enact legislation that cuts off the cash which has replaced the vote. We have to identify politicians and their donors, expose them and those they serve. We have to let the people know the real forces behind their misery. And we have to take it to the streets. We have to have meaningful, direct action. Let them know that we are here and we are not going away. I'm not naive. I know there's a lot of work to do, but this issue is the place to start. This way, politicians will actually have to work to earn our votes instead of just buy elections with trickery and mass media manipulation. However despicable the Trump administration is, and it is, there is something to learn from the last election. A great diversity of people are fed up with the status quo. The country has more to fear today from Democrats and Republicans than it does from progressives, from socialists, from radicals, from communists, and anarchists. First, we have to take stock, put our own house in order. The true left must unite to overthrow the corporate oligarchy. We must get rid of ego and agendas. We must all work together. Step out of our comfort zones. Learn from each other. Don't fear each other. Open our hearts, open our minds, live fearlessly, live boldly. Thank you for your time, and I hope to see all of you in the streets.